now that I have that, I'm going to start step 5. Okay, so with shaping, you want to get the general shape, and then finishing is when you go through and clean it up, like I did on the outside there. I'm just gonna start taking the different edges of these tools and smooth that out. I'm turning it at an angle to get the right variation I want. I'm going to take my finger and just grab it and kind of pull it up a little bit. Let's see if I can smooth out that shape. There we go. Okay, I'm going to take my straight edge. Kind of got most of the slip off. I'm going to make sure on the bottom, sometimes you get a little tree stump here at the bottom. So I'm just taking my wooden modeling tool, just kind of laying it like this. You can use the tools in all sorts of different ways, but I'm going to use this to help create a straight edge on that bottom. There we go. Just take that and cut away that trim. Okay, so now that I have it all like that, you can start thinking about your edges, right? I know this top again probably needs to be cut off, so I'm going to do that again. So now I've got a nice clean edge on the outside, all the slip is off of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of decorate it. You can wait till it gets leather hard, in which leather hard is where you can touch it and it doesn't, like if I were to touch this right now, it would leave a fingerprint. But if I wait till it gets leather hard, then I can, touch it. It doesn't affect the form at all, but you can carve things into it or do slip trailing or all sorts of really cool stuff. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait till it gets leather hard, and then I will start to do some decorating on it. Okay, so we finally reached the leather hard stage. So you can see as I touch this, it's not leaving any fingerprints. It's pretty firm. It's kind of cold still, which tells me that the clay is still wet, so it hasn't dried completely. So we're at a good stage. Okay. It's also not grabbing my fingers, which means if it grabs your fingers, it means it's kind of a little bit wet, and so you don't want that. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a little bit of decorations. Nothing too crazy, maybe, hopefully. We'll see. So I'm gonna take this tool. This is my ribbon tool. I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna take the flat edge and I'm gonna clean up some of these edges. Okay, that's another sign that you know your piece is leather hard, that it's not sticking to the pot. The clay pieces that come off, they just kind of come off and flake away. But it's also wet enough that I'm still able to carve into it. If this piece was completely dry, it'd be something called bone dry, and it wouldn't be coming off like it is. It would just be like powder, and it would sound like chalk. We don't like that. And as I'm holding this tool for trimming, I'm not only holding it in my hand, but I'm holding this hand over it, and I'm supporting the tool both ways. Because if the tool goes this way, this hand's supporting it, but if I don't have this hand and the tool goes that way, there's a lot of wiggle room there. And so I want to make sure I support that tool firmly, that it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so one thing with the design I'm kind of thinking of, because this kind of looks like a little Egyptian pot in a way, I'm going to take this edge, I'm going to make a little kind of header. I don't know, maybe, you can see it's still really bouncy. I'm actually gonna take my loop tool. I'm gonna totally clean this edge, okay? This loop tool is great for doing large surfaces. You can see my tool's kind of bouncing a little bit. And again, I have both hands on one tool supporting it. And you don't want to do this too much. You want to keep in mind how thin your walls are, right? You don't want to trim away so much that you have a really thin spot on your pot. Because if you do that, then unfortunately, you'll lose your pot. It will break or crack or fall apart, or something will happen because it's got a weak spot. You want to make sure you don't take away any of those big supports. Take that. Okay. Again, I'm going to support it with 2 hands. And this neck has a tiny bit of a wobble to it too. Okay, so I'm just gonna finish some of this decoration I did. My objective, what I was trying to do, is I wanted to make this look kind of like a bubble a little bit. So it just kind of broke up all those straight edges. Dig into that. One thing you have to be really careful about though is if you go too deep with your decorations, what can happen is you can go all the way through the wall of your pot. So I'm keeping in mind as I'm doing this exactly how thick I made those walls. That's why it's really important to make sure you get the same kind of consistency throughout your whole pot. Because for the final step, trimming becomes really important, because I'm going to take this entire pot and flip it upside down on its head, and so it has to sit on this surface, and so I need to make sure this is even. Otherwise, the bottom of the pot will be off center and weird, and then when I trim it, it will not sit correctly. So I just need to make sure that this rim is good. So just gonna clean that up. Clean it. Okay, I'm pretty well done with throwing my pot. I'm just gonna make sure I don't have any dry parts on and just sitting on the surface. Go over again, make sure nothing's sharp. Okay, and if I wanted to, I can do some slip trailing or any other kind of designs or features, or I can add stuff to the clay. If I wanted handles, I can put handles on it. Just using different methods to put that on as well. So go online. There's a test after all of this, and you should be able to find that, fill that out, and then I'll stay in contact with you. If you have any questions, let me know. But that's pretty much it. Okay, thanks guys, see ya.